Good day everyone and welcome back to another video. When we left you last, Wendy, our one-footed blue tit, had just started building her nest. And so how did the two birds get on over the last few days? Well, let me tell you, it has been a busy few days. A lot has went down. Not necessarily from Wendy's point of view. There's been a lot of this behavior, a bit of pecking, a lot of shuffling around the nest box. She seems to be in absolutely no rush to build her nest. She is just playing at it at the moment. Don't get me wrong, it is going in the right direction, but there's a lot of picking stuff up, bringing stuff back out, bringing stuff in, and slow and steady progress being made, I must say, but slow. But one lady that wasn't slowing down was the female GREAT-TITS, and she came into roost on the 8th and stayed in the new cozy nest that she has made, and made in like 4, 5, 6 days, I may add. She done an impressive nest build, I must say, but we will revisit how she gets on the 9th later in the video. So on the 9th, in the other nest box just across the garden, Wendy decided that she was going to bring in a little bit more coarse material. And we've seen blue tits do this in the past, where they bring in a little bit more coarse material, and then it starts getting layered up with more moss as the season goes on, as the nest building goes on. And I always put this down to that they seem to like the coarser material at the start, as maybe it gives a little bit of dexterity to the nest, helps support it and gel it all together, lack of a better word. We can see here she opts for little bits of moss here and there, but it's always very little bits. They're not big fulls that we see when the nest building really gets going. But we see her, she's getting her nesting shuffled down even with her 1 foot. And yes, if you haven't caught it on already, Wendy actually only has 1 foot. Now, funny enough, I actually do know what happened to that foot. It's a bit of a long story, and I do plan to make a video. But I'm going to let the season progress just a little bit more before doing that. I'm thinking during incubation, when Wendy here will be sitting on her eggs, and there's not a lot else going on, that's when I'll tell that story. And let me tell you, it's a doozy. It's a doozy. So how's that for a cliffhanger? But I will let you in on one little secret that had happened 3 years ago. So Wendy here is actually a 3-year-old bird, at least. But enough about that. How did she get on the 9th? Well, tiny little bits of moss being brought in here and then, and very slow progress, as I said. It's been amusing to watch. She really is in no rush, and our lady Wendy is not being rushed by anyone. She seems to know something that we don't, but we have to remember that last year Wendy raised chicks successfully. We know she's a good mother, and that would mean that at the very least last year she made the right decision in when to nest, and her instincts made it a successful nesting season for her last year. So we just have to trust the process at this point. I do wonder, does it make it a little harder for her to build a nest with 1 foot? It doesn't seem to slow her down at all. It's amazing that she has done so well without it. She seems to be able to hang on to the hole completely without it. It really doesn't seem to hold her back whatsoever, which is really, really pleasing to see. She's been doing a lot of pecking on the walls there. We saw her doing it a moment ago. There's a few theories on why that is. I've read some places online that it's to do with a territorial display, that when other birds come in they see the pecks. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not saying it isn't that, but I feel like, well, to be quite honest, I don't know, to be perfectly honest. What I would guess it being is the instinct to peck at the material that they're nesting in probably comes from nesting in natural nest sites where wood is probably rotten because it's in a cavity of a tree, and it probably gives them more space. And just because they're in a nest box with strong wood, for example, that behavior doesn't just disappear, and it's an innate behavior that they just do on their chosen nesting site. That would just be my penny's worth on it. You can take that or leave it, I'm not too sure, but that's my opinion on the matter. We also saw an example of the territorial display with the great tit. So the great tit was constantly on this nesting hole during the period where she was trying to keep away the blue tit, the Wendy the blue tit, away from the nest box, because she doesn't want anyone else nesting in the garden because it's a competition for food and resources. But she was always over here pecking at a nesting hole. And if you read online, you see that that is a #1 sign that a bird is going to nest in your nest box. But what I've found, it doesn't mean that at all. Our female grey tit was over here up to nesting on in the other nest box every day, constantly pecking at the nesting hole. And I think it was more of a territorial dispute display, being like, I'm here, you're not getting it, stay away. It could be an aggression thing when it's outside the nest box. So there's loads of theories on it. The great thing about this is no one really knows, and it's just fantastic to see. We can try to make up our own opinions. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you've seen in your own nest boxes, because it's amazing what I learn in the comments from you guys. Sometimes it's astonishing. So yeah, always leave a comment, throw a like in there when you're at it if you're enjoying the videos. And so that was really the nest building on the 9th, the majority of it anyhow. We see Wendy in here doing a few shuffles, but I promised that I would revisit the grey tit, that nest that came to roost on the 8th, the female grey tit. And here she is at 10 to 6 that morning on the 9th, and she was a little bit restless before this. I was wondering, was something going on as I was going through the footage? And let me just tell you, we're going to find out that in just a few seconds. I can let you in on a secret. The grey tit has started laying her eggs. And throughout this video, actually, just listen, the grey tit, the male grey tit, is singing its song. That's the bird you just heard there. But he sings triumphantly outside the nest box. Music to my ears, that. One of my favourite calls. And just look. She's going to show us that egg in just a moment. There we go. Precious cargo indeed. All the essentials for life in one little case. She's looking up at us there, very proud of herself. And the male singing outside. You couldn't write it. So that's fantastic. She'll start laying one a day from this point on. And she also tries to hide the eggs very well. We've seen this in the past with the blue tits in the side view nest box, and when they try to hide the eggs from the side view nest box, it can be actually pretty tricky to see them. The top down one gets a little bit more of a bird's eye view, no pun intended, but you can sometimes still make out the eggs, but it's surprising just how well they hide their eggs. And this is also when, if a predator just like us was looking down the nest box through the nest hole, that's what they see. Is that egg there a piece of fluff? So a really interesting defense tactic there. So it'll be interesting to see her lay an egg every day. And how does Wendy get on with her nest building on the 10th? Well, you're just going to have to wait and see. See you in the next video.